A warm welcome to this contemporary Pilates Flow sequence. In this short lesson, we will do a series of exercises in which we will alternate the focus between core stability and core strength. We'll do so with bilateral movements and also exercises in which we will use the sense of counter-rotation of the pelvis and the thoracic spine. When we do the unilateral movements, I will mirror you, and every now and then I will turn around to give you a different perspective. You can now join me in a low kneeling position. Take your arms overhead, circle your arms down, lean forward with your upper body, and then lift your hips and establish a high kneeling position. You can move your arms overhead and then lower your arms all the way down. Let's start with a neutral alignment of the pelvis and the spine. In the pelvis, as a reference, we use the ASIS, the tip of the hip bones, and the pubic bone. And then you can envision, or with your hands, create a triangle. And the starting position is with this triangle in a vertical alignment. And then, of course, you adjust your pelvis accordingly to your unique body composition, so you have the most elongated sense in your lower back. And then actively lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, so you still have the natural curves in your spine, but you are elongating them. Let your arms relax alongside of the body. And then raise your arms forward and upward. Take them out to the side and hold them at shoulder height. You are reaching out from the fingertips, creating a sense of width in your chest from the collarbones all the way to the thumbs. From the corners of your eyes, you can see your hands. And now we go into a preparation arm movement. Draw a big circle with your arms, keeping the sense of openness to the chest. Open your arms, keep the broadness in your upper back and between the shoulder blades. Exhalation, arm circle. With your inhalation, open your arms out to the side. And now add pelvic and spinal movement. You exhale, tilt the pelvis back, curl into a round back. Inhalation, lift and open through the upper body. Exhalation, engage pelvic floor and the abdominals from the inside out. And with your inhalation, you gradually release, you let your back muscles engage. Keep going a few more times. Core strength in focus, initiating the movement from the pelvic floor into the abdominals. And then you're curling the spine from the base and from the top, until you have long, even flexion in your spine. Let the breath flow and move into another component of this exercise sequence. You center the pelvis, elongate the spine, draw your hands towards the sternum. Your pelvis is in a neutral alignment again, and so is your spine. Core stability and focus. Your pelvic floor and transverse abdominals support the alignment of the pelvis and the lower back. Transverse abdominals here from the front. However, in main strengthening your focus are your spine extensors, the deep spine extensor muscles. And now you can reach your elbows out to the sides. And if you like to work with imagery, imagine loops that are hanging from the ceiling and your upper arms are suspended in these loops. With your exhalation, extend your arms. With your inhalation, bend your elbows. Keep going. You're strengthening the back of your upper arms, the muscles around the shoulder blades, and also your posterior shoulder muscles, so the back of your shoulders, together with your back muscles and your deep abdominals. One more arm extension. It's called a flat back and bug. Exhale, tilt the pelvis back, curl back, shift your hands away from the spine, and then lift up and center. Exhalation, round back, big arm circle, core strength. Inhalation, align the pelvis in a neutral position, the spine too. Exhale, arm extension. Inhalation, bend your elbows, keep going. Core stabilization component of the movement. Your pelvic floor is engaged as much as need be to support the alignment of the pelvis, the same with your deep abdominals, as much as necessary, as little as possible. One more arm extension. And then with your next exhalation, engage pelvic floor, abdominals from the inside out strongly, and then lift all the way up. Find a balanced alignment in your pelvis and your spine. Raise your arms overhead. Lower your arms to shoulder level. Another preparation. Arms overhead. With your exhalation, you inhale. Reach out from the fingertips, reach up from the crown of the head. Arms overhead. And now rotate your sternum towards the right. You are spiraling your spine to the right while you lower your arms, and then back to center. To the other side. Inhalation, spiraling twist. Exhalation, back to center. Keep going. As you spiral your spine towards one side, there's this gentle sense of rotating your pelvis into the opposite direction. The pelvis and the lower back are stabilized in this way, and then you can freely rotate your mid-upper back into the opposite direction. And it's one vertebra at a time, from the top down, like little wheels turning, one vertebra at a time, center. Open your arms out to the side. Exhalation, round back curl. Lengthen your back muscles. Inhalation, engage them together with deep abdominals, pelvic floor. Exhale, back of the upper arms, shoulder muscles, back of the shoulders are strengthened. Not only with the exhalation, of course, due to the body position. Do one more arm extension here in the flat back, which is actually a neutral alignment of the spine. Exhalation, curl, engage abdominals, lengthen the back, integrate. Take your arms overhead. Let's do spiraling twist to the left. Inhalation, spiral around. Exhalation, back to center. As you go to the right, this very gentle sense of counter rotation in the pelvis. Core strength in focus. And of course, you're also mobilizing your spine and your ribs, which supports a full breath. And then back to the center, and it's energizing. Open your arms. And then gradually lower down, let the breath flow. Take a seat in low kneeling. Roll down and curl into a rest position. Circle your arms overhead. Place your hands about shoulder distance apart. Spread your fingers in a relaxed manner. And then engage your pelvic floor and abdominals. Curl into a cat position. Center the pelvis, elongate the spine, and find a neutral alignment in your pelvis and your spine. 4-point kneeling is a core stabilization exercise. Your knees are directly beneath the hips, your hands are directly beneath the shoulders, and then you actively, and in your sense, you reach the sit bone back, you reach the crown of the head forward. Slightly, you can press the outside of your hands into the floor. Inhale. With your next exhalation, engage pelvic floor and abdominals. Tilt the pelvis back, curl into a cat. With your inhalation, stay in cat position. Extend the back of the rib cage. When you exhale, you sit halfway back, angry cat. With your inhalation, center the pelvis and the spine, find a neutral alignment. Sustain it with your exhalation. And with your inhalation, shift your shoulders over the hands again. Exhalation, curl into the cat. This is the core, strengthening the component of cat, where you also mobilize your spine, energize your body with the breath. You sit halfway back, still core strength and focus, opening the lower back even more. And then when you are in a neutral alignment of the pelvis and the spine, this is your core stabilization component of cat. One more time forward. And now let the breath flow. Slide your right leg back. It's a leg slide. And then semicircle the leg forward until your right foot is in line with the left knee. Shift halfway back, tilt the pelvis back and curl up into a gate pose. In gate pose, your leg is aligned the way you organized it when we're in 4-point kneeling, with the outstretch of your foot on the floor. If this is uncomfortable in your hip, you can turn the leg and the foot out. See how you go. And now you let your right hip lower, and at the same time you keep the left side of the pelvis stabilized, avoiding a shift. From here, lift the pelvis, elongate your spine, take your arms overhead, and then with your next inhalation, lower your arms out to the side, reach out. With your exhalation, ever so slightly increase the activity in your center, and then with your inhalation, shift as far as you can. Let the breath flow. Lengthen the underneath side as much as possible, then bring your hand onto the floor and reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. You have one line in the arms from your left hand all the way up to the right. The pelvis is pointing forward, the sternum is pointing forward at the moment. And now initiate the movement from your top arm. You reach the top arm underneath your rib cage and then let the sternum turn towards the floor. It's a small movement. And then turn the sternum forward again. Take your arm up towards the ceiling. Inhale. With your exhalation, reach down, revolve the sternum towards the floor. With your inhalation, turn the sternum forward, reach the arm up towards the ceiling. Exhalation, you reach again. There's a very slight gliding of the shoulder blade, the ribs, the spine turn down, and then you realign the spine and the shoulder blade. One more time. Going into that first component of the movement. So while you do it, you keep the pelvis stabilized. Now go one more time. Even sense that your pelvis is ever so slightly rotating up towards the ceiling. Let the breath flow. Now we change the orientation of the pelvis. You sit back, you reach back with your left sit bone. The spine is rotated yet as long as possible. Bring your pelvis back above the knee, derotate the spine, reach the arm up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhalation, reach down, keep the pelvis lifted, only spiral the spine. Then you let the pelvis move, you spiral the spine further. It's a kneeling twist. Bring your pelvis back above the knee and derotate the spine, reach up. Exhalation, thoracic rotation. Inhalation, you let the pelvis move, sit back, increase the rotation in your upper back. And then again, opening to the front of the hip and aligning the spine in the starting position. Go one more time. So it's a spinal spiraling. And then it leads into a pelvic movement by reaching the sit bone back. You keep the pelvis as aligned as possible. And then pelvis, spine, arm. That's the sequence. Let the breath flow. From here, transition. You sit back just the way you did, but you reach forward with your hand, place it onto the floor, take your other hand forward, separate the hands so they're about shoulder distance apart, semicircle the left leg back, bend the knee, and then you're in 4-point kneeling, and from here, let's move into a cat. You tilt the pelvis back, engaging pelvic floor and abdominals, opening the lower back, inhale, sit halfway back, engage even more in your pelvic floor and abdominals, and then gradually center the pelvis, elongate the spine, find a neutral alignment. Pause here for a moment, and then shoulders directly over the hands, and let's change side. You slide your left leg back. You semicircle it out to the side until your left foot is in line with the right knee. Roll the outer edge of your foot onto the floor. Sit halfway back and then tilt the pelvis back, roll up into an upright gate pose. Let your left hip lower. Keep the pelvis directly above the knee. Lift from the pubic bone. Take your arms overhead. Elongate the spine fully, reach out from the arms, open through the chest fully, and then with extra length in your spine, shift. Lengthen your right side, the underneath side, as much as possible, and then place your hand onto the floor in line with the knee. Reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. Kneeling twist again, core strengthening exercise. 2 components. First one, you move the arm, you let the shoulder blade slightly glide, you let the rib cage revolve around, and you let the spine follow. By sense, the pelvis rotates into the opposite direction, towards your left. And then spine, rib cage, shoulder blade, arm reaching up. Inhale. With your exhalation, reach down and sense the rotation in your upper back. With your inhalation, derotate the spine, center the shoulder. Keep going. 2 more times. We did the same in standing, but now we have a weight-bearing position, and you can have a stronger sense of counter-rotation in your pelvis and your spine. And, that's lovely. However, still make it comfortable in your lower back. So it's just a sense. We are not using great force. Let's go into the second component of the movement. So the rotation of your upper back. Then you sit back. You reach back from the sit bone. You reach back from the hand. So the reaching back of the hand can increase the rotation of your upper back. Bring the pelvis back above the knee, center the spine, reach up in the rhythm of the breath. You exhale, reach down, counter rotation of the pelvis. Allow the pelvis to move, rotate the spine further. Bring the pelvis back above the hip and derotate the spine, reaching up. Exhalation, weave through again, strengthening the oblique abdominals, the spine rotators and extensors together with the hip extensors. And it's also an absolutely beautiful movement to train our proprioceptive sense, so training body coordination. Bring the pelvis above the knee, reach up towards the ceiling, let the breath flow. And did I mention the shoulders? Shoulder, of course, strength as well. And now you can sit back and reach forward. Place your hand onto the floor. Take your other hand forward. Hands about shoulder distance apart again. You semicircle your left leg back. Bend the left knee. 4-point kneeling. From 4-point kneeling, you're curling into cats. The bilateral movement to balance the unilateral movement. And then sit halfway back, angry cats. Center the pelvis, the spine, find the neutral alignment. Enjoy the core stabilization in this portion of the cat. Shift forward. Let's do it one more time. Exhalation from deep to the outside pelvic floor, deep abdominals into the obliques, the rectus abdominis. And then with your next exhalation, you sit halfway back, increase the connection in pelvic floor and abdominals, and then let the breath flow. Sit back into a rest position, glide forward into a prone position. You're lying on your belly. So here, your arms, take them alongside of the body, palms facing up, And the legs are about hip distance apart, or if more comfortable in your body, you can have the legs wider. Bring your awareness to the pelvis, to that triangle between the tip of the hip bones and the pubic bone, and align it in parallel with the floor. And then again, you adjust from there so you feel elongated in your lower back. Your center is engaged as much as necessary, as little as possible, to stabilize the pelvis and elongate the lower back. From here, with the hands relaxed on the floor, bring your awareness to the sternum. And with your next inhalation, glide your sternum forward and upward, the dart. With your exhalation, lower down. And with your inhalation again, you're lengthening the spine, and then you extend your upper back, strengthening the spine extensors in your upper back, gently in your neck, while keeping your shoulders and also your hip extensors relaxed until now. Now we engage them. With your next exhalation, you lift the legs just off the floor, keeping the pelvis centered. Lower the legs down, and then lower your forehead down. With your inhalation, glide forward and upward dart. With your exhalation, hip extension, stronger activation in the abdominals. Add the arms, lift your arms, turn your palms down. Turn your palms up, lower the back of the hands, and then lower the legs. And lower your shoulders and your forehead. Inhalation, glide forward into a dart. With your exhalation, increase the abdominal activation. Lift the legs, hip extensor strength. Lift your arms if you like. Open your arms to shoulder level. Circle the arms back, palms up towards the ceiling. And then you lower the, arms. You lower the legs. And then you rest your forehead on the floor. Engage your center as much as necessary, though as little as possible, to keep your pelvis and your lower back centered. With your next inhalation, glide your sternum forward and upward into a dart. And with your exhalation, lower down. We'll gradually build up the movement. With your inhalation, elongate and extend the spine, engaging your spine extensors in your upper back, so strengthening them, and then slowly lower down. Now let's add on. You inhale, glide into a dart, lower back stays elongated. Exhalation, lift your legs off the floor, hip extensor strength. Lower the legs down. And then release your shoulders and your forehead. Adding on. Inhalation, glide forward into a dart. Back strength, lower back elongated. Exhalation, hip extensor strength, lower back elongated. Add the arms. Lift your arms, turn your palms towards the body. Lower the arms, palms towards the ceiling. Lower the legs. And lower your shoulders and your forehead. Building on. Inhalation, gliding into a dart. With your exhalation, lengthen and lift the legs. With your inhalation, your choice, you can raise your arms and circle them halfway forward, and then circle the arms back. Lower them down, and lower the legs, and then the forehead. Last variation, inhale into a dart. You can stay at any stage. Legs, if you like, just rotate the shoulders or take the arms forward halfway or all the way. You circle the arms back if you have taken them forward 2 more times. Either rotating the shoulders or circling the arms halfway or all the way. And this is whole body strength in the back of the body from the back extensors into the hip extensors, into the shoulder muscles, and of course back off the arms as well. And then lower the arms, lower the legs, lower the upper body. And then take your hands to either side of your rib cage, push up into a 4-point kneeling position. So you might have to move your knees a little bit more forward. And then in 4-point kneeling, lengthen the spine and then curl into a cat, pelvic floor, abdominals, balancing the spine extension with long, even flexion. Sit halfway back. Sense that opening in the most lower part of your spine. And then find a neutral alignment in your pelvis and your spine again. Core stabilization in focus. Shift the shoulders over the hands. Very gentle engagement here of deep abdominals. And then increase the activation one more time. Curl into a cat. Maintain the cat position. Sit halfway back into an angry cat. And then all the way into a rest position. From the rest position, curl up into low kneeling upright. Find the centered alignment in your upper body again. Reach your arms overhead. And then spiraling twist just once to the right side. Mobilizing the spine back to the center. Go to the other side. And then back to the center. Open your arms. One round back. You exhale, curl. With your inhalation, open your arms. Find the neutral alignment in your pelvis, the length in your spine. Relax your arms, and I hope you feel absolutely fantastic.